Hello, my fellow Americans. It is a great day, so good day to you. A lot of big things happening with our Supreme Court. We're going to touch on that here today, but I wanted to welcome you to the Burden of Truth podcast. This is our second or third episode, so I hope you're enjoying it as we go. But as the name states, we're going to be all about the truth. And there's a lot of misguiding things going around the country and world right now, mainly driven by our media and our own administration here, that I'm going to dive into a little bit here today. Maybe a little bit longer than a normal podcast, so I just want to forewarn you or let you know that. But we're going to dive into the president's speech that he had after lunch on Friday. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to play you a bunch of snippets because right now, in a world where we don't know what up is or what is up and what is down, left or right, good versus evil. We don't know because it's a crazy, crazy world. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are telling the truth and calling out the lies for what they are. So in a moment, I'm going to play some of the president's speech, and we're going to go through his entire speech because, again, words matter. And we're going to pause, and I'm going to let you reflect on a few things. But I'm going to try to keep my opinion out of it as much as I can. Most of you already know my opinion. Most of you already know where I stand when it comes to life over death. Most of you know where all of that comes. I think this is a very slippery slope if we don't want to call life for what it is. And what I mean by that is if we're going to hear some truth, and I'm going to start forming my opinion for you based off of my understood truths. If we're to trust the science, if I were to find a bacterium or a gelatinous mass of a tiniest cell on Mars, we would call that life. But we do not want to call a fetus or a conglomeration of cells or something at conception anything other than a miracle. We don't want to call it life. We don't want to call a miracle for what it is. We want to call it choice. So if we're to trust the science, where is the science? The science is in life, and if we look at anything from NASA to biology to anything, life is a single cell organism that is out there. So we're looking at life. Now we look at this decision. We hear a lot of things about the unconstitutional effects of this and how constitutional rights were taken away. And I'm going to hit that as we go through the speech. But what we need to remember as all Americans, regardless of the position that you hold with this decision, regardless of the side, I don't want you to turn this off. I want you to hear me here. If you don't agree with whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, what this did was truly give the decision back to the states. It was unlawfully taken from the states through Roe versus Wade back in 1973. That's what this is all about. The Supreme Court wasn't deciding on whether you should have abortion rights or not. It was deciding on whether or not the Supreme Court went too far in its power well back in 73. And they decided that they did. Because they did. There's three branches of government for a reason. The judiciary is not to make law, it's to uphold the law that is decided by the legislature. Well, the states can't decide. The states still can't decide. This is still an issue that we've had for many years, hundreds of years, across this entire world, and nobody can really decide what they want to do here. So the Supreme Court stepped in and decided for us. In 1973, unconstitutionally, because the law of the land is the Constitution. It's what we all swear an oath to if you join the military, if you're in the Supreme Court, regardless of what political service you hold, you swear an oath to the Constitution. Well, the Supreme Court stepped outside its bounds and made laws. And so now in 2022, the Supreme Court is going back to the law of the land and fixing errors that were done 50 years ago, which should have been done immediately. So, regardless of your stance, that's where it's at. Abortion wasn't abolished Some may agree that it should be. Some may agree that they should have choice. Some agree that there should be choice to a certain extent at certain time. You know my personal opinion. I believe in life at conception. So that is a person. And according to the same amendment, the 14th Amendment of our Constitution, which in actuality, I'll just hit it now because I think it's we'll say apropos, but according to our Constitution, and if you read it right here, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person, remember that one, of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, legislature, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of those laws. Okay, so actually I'll do this here for you so you can see what I'm talking about as I speak about it. The privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person. What the Supreme Court did in 1973 is it decided that they were trying to scientifically figure out what a person was based off of current medical standards or mortality rates. They decided that a person did not have any rights because they weren't necessarily a person, so that a woman could decide on what she wanted to do with her own body because it wasn't a person in there. So we were kind of using science against itself, basically. So that's how they use the 14th Amendment in here, and that's how they're trying to stretch this pretty thinly, that we're taking away constitutional rights. And as you'll see, as we see the speech that I'm about to play here, you'll see that there is a huge play on words. There's a huge play on this, and it stretches pretty thin. We'll bring it up as we go. So bear with me. I hope you know that cruel and unusual punishment happened to me. I watched this about 30 times to try to digest, because I believe that words truly do matter. So we're going to play our current president of the United States, Mr. Joseph Biden, and I'm going to let you listen to what he has to say here. And I'm going to briefly call that into action, but sidebar, I believe this is a great day in America because we're giving rights back to the states and ultimately back to you. Regardless of the side of the opinion you're on this, we're giving your state Supreme Court, through its decision with concealed carry the day before, with its Supreme Court's decision to get rid of Roe versus Wade as something that was actually unconstitutionally done. These are all returning freedoms back to you, the American citizen. That's what this is all about. To the decision today of allowing a high school coach who knelt at halftime, who was fired for that, with praying with his team, that was his religious belief, and he was able to do that. We are seeing our Constitution come back to life right now. We're actually following the Constitution, and your rights and freedoms are coming back to you. As much as the media and this current administration is telling you it's not, it is coming back to you, and that is the significance of this. So again, what's up is down and down is up. They're telling you something that's not true, and they're getting the masses of these people to believe it because they want their power. And slowly their power is being stripped away by a Supreme Court who is making constitutional decisions, not personal political decisions. So I think this is a great day for all Americans because it puts it back in the states' hands to decide what's going to happen. It doesn't take away freedoms. It gives them back to the states for you to decide on your own, and it gives them back to you. So please remember that as we're talking about this here today. So first and foremost, I see this as a different tack when it comes to what our illustrious president is saying, and you'll get to hear that here in just a moment.
Today is not hyperbole to suggest a very solemn moment. Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away the constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. But they did it.
So let's remember something. He just said that it's a solemn day. He also said that we've never had anybody take a constitutional right away from us all in one fell swoop like we just saw the other day. Again, it was never constitutional to be able to kill a person. The court decided what a person was. We've never had any legislation deciding what a person is that I can think of, and maybe I'm wrong and you fact checkers can go check. But the Supreme Court tried to decide what a person was or what it wasn't. Okay, the only rights I've seen removed from us are through these mandates the last 2 years, through what this administration does, through whatever mandate on your health, whatever mandate on where you can go, mandates upon what you can do. So this actual action returned rights back to the American people. And so I'm not sure where he's going here, but again, I would say that's kind of contradictory to where we're at. So let's hear what else he has to say.
It's a sad day for the court and for the country. 50 years ago, Roe v. Wade was decided and has been the law of the land since then. This landmark case protected a woman's right to choose, her right to make intensely personal decisions with her doctor, free from the interference of politics.
Did you hear that? Free from the interest of politics, free from anything. So basically, we're saying that this is allowing people to make their own medical decisions. The Roe versus Wade was the law of the land because it was supposed to give everyone the right and law of 50 years to their own health. I'm pretty sure that was written into the Constitution with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And through the Nuremberg trials, we've decided all of this. This has nothing to do with any of that. Again, this is an up-down, right, left situation where he's just speaking lies. That's all it is. This didn't remove anybody's right to choose their own health. And in actuality, what we've seen the last 2 years has been an absolute destruction of those decisions. So let's hear what he has to say next.
Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
Lies. Life and health of all women in this nation are at risk because of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. In my opinion, if I heard truly something that was going to change the health of my wife, my children, my daughters, and their health was going to be at risk, I would do everything in my power to make sure that that didn't happen. This did not change the life or health of any woman in this country. Where did it change that? If you are still in need of an abortion, you can get one. I wouldn't consider abortion a health concern unless, in that very, very small circumstance where the life of the mother is at risk. That would be the only issue I would see it as a health concern. It's so easy, in one hand, to say that we are all about empowering women. I'm all about empowering my daughters and my wife to do what they want and to be free and to live freely. And we are harping on this divisive thing so hard, and we're calling it empowering to women to be able to choose the life that's within them. The opposite and contradictory point to that is, I know nothing more powerful in this world than a mother. So the more that we try to say that women have power by choosing, we're taking that absolute gift of motherhood. I just want to give a sidebar to that. So let's go and see what else we got here from Mr. President. So he's now talking about we're taking health from everyone. Let's hear what else he has to say here.
I believe Roe v. Wade was the correct decision. as a matter of constitutional law and application of the fundamental right to privacy and liberty in matters of family and personal autonomy.
Again, he's associating Roe versus Wade as the only thing that keeps us free from the government and allows us to do what we want, because Roe versus Wade allowing these things. Again, I discussed this in the 14th Amendment discussion we just had, and as I read it, this is their only base for this, that everything is hinged around Roe versus Wade, and it's not. Again, another lie.
Most Americans of faith and backgrounds found acceptable that have been the law of the land for most of the lifetime of Americans today.
So again, I don't know about you, but I don't think most people of faith are okay with killing babies. Now, the disagreeing point on that may be when you think a baby is a baby. I gave you the definition of life in the beginning of this podcast, and I can give it to you again. But if you believe that life is an amoeba and that we all started from amoebas, then you have to believe that what's in a woman's womb at conception is life as well. So it's going to be either you believe he's God as your creator and life began when God created it at conception, or you believe in the science or the somewhat regarded science of Darwinism or evolution, and we all came from amoebas or a big bang. But even then, an amoeba would be life. So when is life life? So again, I'll probably be doxxed for this and shadow banned because I'm speaking too much truth into what life truly is. But I digress. That's my prerogative. I just want to stir some thoughts in all of those here that are listening. So again, next he brings up the point of constitutional rights.
And it was a constitutional principle upheld by justices appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents alike.
Okay, so again, he's talking about it being constitutional. We're starting a narrative here that we're all about the Constitution here, but of recent, we have not been we haven't been following the Constitution. Just look at all the mandates that we've just seen with your own medical decisions, your medical freedoms. Look at all of the decisions that we've been seeing. So we're starting a narrative here that starts the fact that we are being unconstitutional by allowing Roe versus Wade to be overturned. You see this? Let's not focus on all the other unconstitutional acts this administration has perpetrated against this country, from our borders to everything else. I'm getting off topic here. Let's just talk about this one. But let's not talk about this. This is all unconstitutional. So let's just focus on
justices named by one president, Donald Trump.
Oh, it was Donald Trump's fault.
To upend the scales of justice and eliminate a fundamental right for women in this country. Make no mistake, this decision is a culmination of a deliberate effort over decades to upset balance of our law.
Okay, so he just took one sentence and then flowed into the next one, saying this was unconstitutional, and then flowed into a litany of, I skipped over all the presidents that he said supported this. And he only listed out the Republican presidents, by the way. But then he goes to Donald Trump, who listed out who named three justices who were appointed by Congress, not by Trump. Okay, so he's basically saying again that this is unconstitutional. Trump bad. We are in a bad state. Our country, we don't know where we're going. And it's Trump's fault, and it's unconstitutional. Again, we're trying to set this narrative. Let's also remember that January 6th trials are also based upon trying to get the 14th Amendment again, because listed down further in the 14th Amendment is how you are able to be elected as an official. And if you have insurrection, you can't be elected as an official. So we're contradicting so many different things here, all within this same speech, within that same 14th Amendment. So it's good one time and it's not good the other time. I'm just tired of all of the lies.
Too often the case. Poor women are going to be hit the hardest.
Oh,
It's cruel. In fact, the court laid out state law.
so if you didn't hear that, I'll play it one more time. He said basically that this is only going to mostly impact here.
Too often the case. Poor women are going to be hit the hardest.
Too often the case that poor women will be hit the hardest. I'm not sure if what are we focusing on here? Liberties and freedoms, or are we talking about economic issues where folks that are poor need to get an abortion because they can't afford babies? So is it life or is it economics? What is the decision here? Again, these are all the narratives that we want to push to try to be okay with it. I've heard so many different things, so many other places that, well, imagine how bad it would be if how poor these babies would be if they lived in that situation. Or imagine how, I've even heard people say that imagine where our prisons would be as an excuse to have abortions. Let's remember that abortion clinics started with Planned Parenthood with Margaret Sanger, who was a eugenics. She was all for eliminating African Americans. She was absolutely a racist. So you got to look at these foundational things. And again, obviously, Joe Biden doesn't cover that in this speech, but I want to just hear what he has to say about these things, because it seems like it's pretty ambiguous and false, everything he's saying. So let's see what he has to say about this.
Clear and unambiguous.
Oh, let me be clear and unambiguous.
Only way we can secure a woman's right to choose.
Okay, so for the next little bit here, he talks about he gets political again. We can only go through the politics of this if we vote people. And he's right, because constitutionally he knows that Roe versus Wade should have never went to the Supreme Court. So he's telling everybody that we need to act upon different things here through the election in the fall.
This fall, must elect more senators and representatives who will codify women's right to choose into federal law once again. Elect more state leaders to protect this right at the local level. We need to restore the protections of Roe as law of the land. We need to elect officials who will do that. This fall, Roe is on the ballot. Personal freedoms are on the ballot. The right to privacy, liberty, equality, they're all on the ballot.
Absolutely.
Till then,
the only true thing he said.
I will do all of my power to protect a woman's right in states where they will face the consequences of today's decision.
So there are trigger states that triggered automatically with Roe versus Wade. If Roe versus Wade were overturned, they would automatically be banned in 13. Abortions would be banned in 13 states across this country. Let me remind you that he's going to talk here briefly about the United States being an outlier. We are an outlier. If you look at the abortion laws, it takes you about 5 minutes to look at the abortion laws across our great country. Okay? You can look at the abortion laws across this great world, I should say. You can look at the abortion laws in other countries around the world, and you will see that our abortion laws are much more liberal than a lot of other countries. A large majority of Africa has banned it. Most countries, you can look at France and Spain, they believe it up until 14 weeks. You need specific reasons why you're doing this. Actually, I'll pull them up so you can see. So let's see where France is at. Is legal on demand during the first 14 weeks from conception. So you can't do it after 14 weeks unless you have allowed by 2 physicians certify that the abortion will be done to prevent grave permanent injury to the physical or mental health of the pregnant woman, a risk to life of the pregnant woman. So that's France right now. We have in Spain 14 weeks. Okay. Right now we have states in our country. Trying to, actually, I believe the Senate in California a few weeks ago passed that you can abort a baby 26 days after birth. So I don't want to hear Joe Biden say that we're an outlier in this world. I think this is that's more fake news. I could pull up MAP again. You can do this on your own. but there are many, many countries around this world that have much stronger abortion laws than we do. This Roe versus Wade decision just gives the rights back to the states. I am pro-life, unapologetically. But the states have the right to decide. My freedoms were returned to me to help decide that within my state. Our governors who want to step up and make executive rules, again, unconstitutional. You have to make sure that you're standing against this in your states. You have to make sure of that. So, again, let's see where we're at here with our illustrious president. So, next we got, he's going to talk about, oh, this is a gem. In his speech, just listen to it. You'll know why I have a major issue with this.
As the Attorney General has made clear, women must remain free to travel safely to another state to seek care they need.
Oh, thanks.
My administration will defend that bedrock right.
Oh, you're the man.
If any state or local official, high or low, tries to interfere with a woman's exercising her basic right to travel, I will do everything in my power to fight that deeply un-American attack.
Okay. You obviously know where I have an issue. He's basically saying that if anybody tries to keep somebody from traveling from state to state to get the abortion that they need, quote unquote, then they will be held accountable, and he will do everything in his power to make sure we can travel freely across our country, especially women. What is he talking about? Has anything been limited? Has travel been limited? Oh, wait, it has. When we couldn't leave our houses, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't go to work. We can't work if we don't get a specific medical procedure. We can't do anything without the approval of the government. But now, because of Roe versus Wade being overturned, he's afraid that people are going to be limited in their travel. Wake up, America. The government's already been doing this. It's already been doing this. Let's hear what else he's saying is going to happen here.
My administration will also protect a woman's access to medications that are approved by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, like contraception, which is essential for preventative health care.
I don't hear anybody saying that they're going to remove condoms from shelves or birth control or anything like that sort. I haven't heard that anywhere. Him using this as a medication. Medicine, definition of a medicine is something that helps your health. I don't think you can consider late-term abortion pills that help you abort your baby as medication. That is not health. That is not part of a Hippocratic oath. That is not what he's trying to turn it as. Again, this is the narrative, folks. This is what we're talking about. So let's see what else he has to say. This is mind-numbing here. He's going to talk here briefly, so we're going to fast forward just 10 seconds. We're going to hear what he has to say about what's happening because of Roe versus Wade and our extreme governors in this country.
Extremist governors and state legislators are looking to block the mail or search a person's medicine cabinet or control a woman's actions by tracking data on her apps she uses are wrong and extreme and out of touch.
Whoa. So tracking people through apps, knowing what there's in their medicine cabinet by registering all their medications, paying attention to everything that they do through Facebook and everything else. Have you looked at the Facebook terms of service lately? If you haven't, Google that. Maybe I'll share that in my next podcast. We'll just go through that. And I'll show you that they have access to your camera anytime that they want, whether you're in the app or not. They have access to all of the data. And if you're a scientist or if you're an educator or if you're somebody doing this, they'll give you that information. So you'll know exactly where someone's, where they live, what they have going on for them, what's within reach of them, what they do in times of crisis, where they go. You can get all of this data if you have a legitimate reason for it. All of this data is already being tracked. So now he's crying wolf and saying that we don't want women to be tracked like this, and they're already tracking every single American. But all because of Roe versus Wade, these things are going to happen. Again, it's a lie, and it's a mistruth. This stuff is already happening, and we've willingly given it up through the mandates and through everything else that's going on. Again, this is why we need to stand up. And so I'll continue to preach from the top of this mountain that what is happening right now, and he's using Roe versus Wade and saying that because this was overturned, all of these things are going to happen. And it's completely false.
Cannot interfere.
Oh.
Decisions that should be made between a woman and her doctor.
Politicians cannot interfere with the decisions between a woman and her doctor. Well, I don't need to hit that one already. You already know where I'm at with that one. Let's, oh, you mean, what are we doing to our military right now? Mandating that they get shots or get out.
That's because Roe recognized the fundamental right to privacy. That has served as a basis for so many more rights that have come to take for granted, that are ingrained in the fabric of this country.
This is a rough one, sorry.
The right to make the best decisions for your health. The right to use birth control, a married couple in the privacy of their bedroom, for God's sake. The right to marry the person you love.
Roe versus Wade did none of that. The 14th Amendment gives you these freedoms. All of our amendments in the Constitution give you these freedoms. It's not a misguided decision by the Supreme Court to go against the Constitution and make their own law. So all of the things that he just said are constitutionally given to you. They were not granted to you because of Roe versus Wade. And I know most of the population of this country, even people of faith that I know, believe that Roe versus Wade gave us all of our freedoms and yada, 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 equalities and who you can marry. And that has nothing to do with Roe versus Wade. Constitutionally, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Roe versus Wade did not give you any freedoms. It took them away. When you have a federal government right here who is becoming more and more empowered because of those Supreme Court decisions, that's where the problem lies. That's why the Supreme Court today overturned that, or on Friday, forgive me. So again, these myths, truths, I just am flabbergasted by how you can stand there and say false things. I guess, as Hitler said, you tell the biggest lie you can and get as many people to believe it as you can. You don't tell little lies. You tell big ones and get everybody to believe them. So we're going to go over here and we'll see what he says the consequences of this action is. So, and then we'll finish up here, folks. I appreciate the cruel and unusual punishment that you've endured with me here.
The consensus of the American people, core principles of equality, liberty, dignity, and the stability of the rule of law demand that Roe should not have been overturned.
Again, I just said that. Fake news. Roe versus Wade had nothing to do with any of that. Any of that. So, again, the hypocrisy, and we're going to finish up with this last clip here.
With this decision, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court shows how extreme it is, how far removed they are from the majority of this country. It made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. This decision must
made us an outlier. What made us an outlier is the Constitution. The Constitution made us an outlier, this great experiment that we have. I just played the 12 minutes or 11 and a half minutes of the speech to the most. I didn't edit anything he said. I skipped over some stuff where he stumbles over his words that might surprise you. But I went through this entire thing, and I appreciate your time with me through this 35 minutes here. But one thing I want you to all remember, again, as we're out there and we want to love one another, we may have differing opinions. It's a good thing to have differing opinions because that's what got us to the moon in the first place, right? Differing opinions make us stronger. Diversity makes us stronger. Believing in different things makes us stronger because you can have contradictory viewpoints to whether or not water is cold or you would be able to travel to space. No, we can't. Yes, we can. Okay? I believe life over death, period. The Lord above me is who I believe in as my creator, my savior. You may believe in something different, and we can have that conversation. The moment we start injecting lies or mistruths by those in charge, trying to create the division that Abraham Lincoln spoke about, a country divided amongst itself cannot stand. Everything that we have seen these last couple years, everything we have seen the last 18 months by this administration has done nothing but destroy this country. Think about it. Whether you're a Biden supporter or not, do you enjoy paying $5 a gallon in gas? Do you enjoy having the highest inflation rate in the entire world? Because we've shut down our energy. We are now importing energy from other countries. The last thing, let's just say this. You've seen my If I Were the Devil video. If I were the devil, if I wanted the world to fall, I'd say life was a choice in the womb. I'd say I'd attack populations of people by look across this world. Even Elon Musk said it the other day, that the repopulation of this world, the birth rate is so down, that's our next greatest pandemic, that we're not repopulating enough. We're not even covering our own lives with the babies that we're having. There's 26 countries in this world right now that are in dire straits of having population loss, and that's just because of birth rates. Mix in allowed abortion. So if I were the devil, I'd make sure that I'd stop the most important thing that we had, and one of the most important commandments we have is to live and reproduce and be merry and be happy and follow the Lord. So if I were the devil, I'd attack life and I'd spread those lies. So I'd attack the sanctity of life. So here today, I just wanted to bring this up. I wanted to make sure that anybody within my earshot understands that life is precious, understands that we need to follow the truth. We need to understand that we can have differing opinions, but when we walk away from one another and we don't have those differing opinions, we stand divided. And everything that is happening today is division. It's to divide you from me, to divide our neighbors. So listen to differing viewpoints. Hear each other out. Walk away or agree to disagree. But understand that the Constitution is the law of the land, not what Joe Biden says the Supreme Court is, or how our judges are now making laws. The Constitution is there for a reason. And so we need to make sure we're learning the truth. I hope I taught you something here today. I hope if you disagree with my opinion on pro-life or pro-choice, that you at least listened and learned and heard something. And I'd be glad to take your comments and listen to and answer to the best of my ability. But make sure that you're following the truth. So thank you again. Have a fantastic day. Stand tall. Ask yourself, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Stand for righteousness. Stand for the truth. And be the light in the darkness. Because if you don't seek the truth, then you can't speak it. So educate yourselves. Have a fantastic and blessed day, everyone. I appreciate listening to the Burton of Truth podcast. Have a great day.